somewhat forgotten classic sees the excellence of execution using every last trick in his repertoire to pull out the victory over Roddy Piper. And WrestleMania 8 sees a rare pinfall loss for Hot Rod, but an even rarer display of professionalism from him makes the moment all the more memorable. Up next on this WrestleMania train down memory lane, we go to WrestleMania 10 in New York City, and the first ladder match to ever take place at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels captured his first Intercontinental Championship with a big win over the British Bulldog on Saturday night's main event in the fall of 1992. But in the fall of 1993, Michaels would be stripped of the championship due to inactivity. As the Heartbreak Kid watched from the sidelines, Razor Ramon would capture the vacant championship. At the 1993 Survivor Series, Michaels would announce that he was back, and that he only had one mission: to humiliate Razor Ramon, who he considered to be a fake champion. Having never been defeated in the ring, HBK still believed he was the rightful Intercontinental Champion. But Shawn wanted to play games with the bad guy, interfering in his matches and even performing Ramon's. Shawn was also very open about relying on his 7-foot monster of a bodyguard, Diesel, to help him get through any tough situations. WWE officials, forced with figuring out how to decide who the true Intercontinental Champion was, came to a decision. Both championship titles would be suspended above the ring in a ladder match. The winner would be the first superstar able to incapacitate their opponent long enough to climb the ladder, grab both championships. This matchup would see both men use everything they could to stop the other, including the ladder repeatedly. It was used as a battering ram, even as a perch from which to dive for a huge splash. Both Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels laid it all on the line in this epic clash, leaving everyone breathless with each new flurry of offense. Also with the menacing Diesel at ringside. Stay focused, and maybe you'll be oozing enough machismo to climb that ladder of success. One of WrestleMania's greatest collisions comes to its scintillating conclusion with Ring. The latter match would open the door for future classics, like the TLC and Money in the Bank matches as well, forever sealing its place in WrestleMania lore. Our next match is another legendary moment that will live forever, as we head to WrestleMania 13. Rosemont, Illinois would play host to the most important night on the sports entertainment calendar. And on this night, a match that is the literal definition of an all-time classic unfolded. Bret Hart had been the face of WWE's new generation for years, proudly defending the WWE Championship against all comers and defending WWE's honor against its most heinous villains. After losing the WWE Championship to Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania 12's Iron Man match, the Hitman took some time off to consider his future options. When he returned, roughly 6 months later, there were drastic changes to the landscape of WWE's universe. Top among those was the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. The man who started the year off as Ted DiBiase's ringmaster would find freedom in his true identity, dropping his manager and finding superstardom in the wake of his 1996 King of the Ring tournament victory.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
WWE was trying to find its attitude, but the seeds of change were being planted in the fans who had rallied around Austin. His no-nonsense attitude had made him the ultimate anti-hero. This acceptance of someone who flaunted his breaking of the rules didn't sit right with the Hitman. When Bret made his return, he immediately challenged Austin, who was more than ready to answer the call. The two battled at 1996's Survivor Series, where Hart won in a masterful performance of a feverish back-and-forth battle. The loss only made Austin angrier, creating a single focus for him: to ruin Bret Hart's career. He'd eliminate Hart from the 1997 Royal Rumble match after officials missed Hart first eliminate Austin. The night after Hart captured the WWE Championship at Final Four, Austin would interfere in Hart's first defense on Raw, ending the reign before it could even get started. WWE officials would pit the rivals against each other in a no disqualification submission match. The loser would be forced to admit they were defeated by the better combatant. To make sure that order would be maintained, a special referee was assigned: the world's most dangerous man and former MMA champion, Ken Shamrock. And while Hart had the edge in submission wrestling, Austin was no slouch in that department. And he also had one other thing going for him: his promise to the world that he would never in a million years give up. Once the match started, these two unleashed months of hatred on one another. We were lucky enough to talk to the Rattlesnake himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin, to get his thoughts on this classic encounter.
A lot of people think that the WrestleMania 13 match between myself and Bret the Hitman Hart is one of the best of all time. Certainly one of the best in all of WrestleMania. To me, it's a very special match because everything happened so magically, and specifically WrestleMania 13 cemented the legacy of who and what Stone Cold Steve Austin was. From start to finish, we started it off, we brawled out, we came back into the ring, we brought various factors from around the ring into the ring to use against each other. Some of the stuff backfired on me. It was full of chills, thrills, and spills. I gotta call a spade a spade. I mean, it is my favorite all-time match, and I've been to some classics.
Always an honor to get to pick the brain of one of WWE's top-level legends. Thank you again to Stone Cold for talking with us about WrestleMania 13. Now it's on you to try and find a way to take out WWE's toughest SOB. Remember, there are no disqualifications, so use whatever you can, and maybe you'll find a way to get him to surrender. I just wouldn't recommend messing with the referee. Shamrock's ankle lock is nasty.
I need to beat you, Rock. I need it more than anything that you can ever imagine.
When you headline an event, you've got to be on top of your game, be in the best of your game to put on a show and to warrant that main event status.
Austin was going to do everything he could to guarantee the nearly 68,000 attending in his home state of Texas would not be disappointed. The People's Champ had other ideas. He had worked hard while Austin was out to establish himself as the man in WWE. And the opportunity to prove his status with this WrestleMania rematch had the Brahma Bull almost bursting at the seams. If anything was for sure, it was that The Rock would do one thing, and one thing only.
Just bring it!
He'd been through the battles, he'd come into his own, nothing was handed to him, he earned it all, and he turned himself into the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. At no point in time in wrestling history were two stars, two wrestlers, as hot as both I was and The Rock was. It's hard to explain why we're such good opponents. We just were.
So now it's time for you to head into one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, WrestleMania 17 in 2001. A night that serves as the pinnacle of the Attitude Era's excellence, with its two biggest names doing battle once again. Are you ready to open up a can on The Rock? Before the bell could even make this mix, would he be able to get back into the match quickly before Austin really started stomping a mud hole? One of the most stunning endings in WrestleMania history sees Stone Cold Steve Austin align with Mr. McMahon to regain the WWE Championship. WrestleMania 17 was in many ways the last stand for WWE's Attitude Era. Steve Austin and Triple H formed a two-man power trip as an impending invasion from WCW and ECW would forever alter WWE. So much talent in one spot would lead to the brand split and a new era, one of ruthless aggression. And at WrestleMania 20, WWE returned to its roots in New York City. Proudly featuring his arrival to WWE in late 1999, Kurt Angle was an absolute natural in a WWE ring. His rookie year would see him capture the European, Intercontinental, and WWE championships, an astounding accomplishment. The Olympic gold medalist always used his three I's: intensity, integrity,
and intelligence,
to either be a champion or to be competing for a championship. Angle lost the WWE Championship to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19 in Seattle and looked for the opposite result at WrestleMania 20. Carrying months of resentment, Kurt looked to right the wrongs as he challenged for the championship. Despite coming from a legendary wrestling family, Eddie would not receive the path to instant stardom that his opponent did. Instead, he worked his way up from Mexico to ECW and then to WCW, before finally earning a chance with WWE. It took him years to finally realize his dream, and once he had, Eddie did everything he could to keep it. In 2004, Eddie won a 15-man mini Royal Rumble that granted him a match against Brock Lesnar at No Way Out for the WWE Championship. The last man he eliminated? Yep, Kurt Angle. Still, at this point, the two appeared to be on friendly terms, even if the disappointment was obvious for Kurt. And at No Way Out in San Francisco, Eddie would achieve the impossible, defeating Brock Lesnar to finally hold the WWE Championship.
It was Eddie Guerrero's time. It was his time to show that he was a top performer. So I knew Eddie was on a roll, and I knew my work was cut out for me.
Angle was victorious in a triple threat match to be named the #1 contender. On the surface, it seemed all was well. Two fantastic competitors who would battle to see who was better. But it turned out that Kurt Angle had been seething ever since that 15-man Rumble. And with his match set, he struck. Attacking Eddie while working as a special guest referee, Angle went ballistic on Latino heel.
I felt the need to beat Eddie Guerrero, not just beat him, but beat him up and try to hurt him.
The tone was set. This was not about competition or athletic pursuit. This was about a former champion desperate to reclaim his throne, and a new champion who wasn't going to let anyone take his dreams away from him. Now it's time for you to put Kurt Angle in the silver medal position and find a way to retain Eddie Guerrero's WWE Championship at WrestleMania. But if you're not careful, Kurt's going to grab that ankle, and you'll have two choices: tap or snap.
Champion for a reason, and I'm just as good as you are. Nobody able to grab control. Both back to their feet in the standoff. Angle looking a little surprised that Eddie was more than capable on the ground.
Whoa! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118,
Here is your winner, and still the WWE Champion,